Alright, hello once again. This is the Baron and Vax once again casting. This will be the second game of the best of three for the finals between Funkoff and DaemonicSquirrel. Vax, do you have any ideas about what could come to play with this game? We noticed that last game that Funkoff was able to pretty handily defeat Demonic with that transport drop in the back of his base. Do you think we could possibly see that again here?
You know, it's hard to say. It depends on if Demonic moves away from his base with any type of counter. Demonic may decide to cluster in for a 4 or a 5 mech start. It'll be very interesting to see what they try. It's hard to say.
Alright, we're just taking care of some last-minute nitty-gritty details between Demonic and Funkoff, but they should be starting any minute now. And we'll have DaemonicSquirrel playing as the Aeon once again on the left as the two Aeon players. Funkoff will also be playing as Aeon as the Scion color on the right. So this will be actually I think this game will probably be a bit more interesting than the last one. There's 3 main paths the military can go. You obviously got the center, and then you got the 2 pathways on the top and the bottom. But that's pretty much it for the land play. The air play, there's obviously just the leader boats, and then obviously a potential transport drop once again. But we'll just see when we get there.
Where a lot of variety opens up on this map is when you get 2 good players versus 2 other good players. Since it's close enough quarters that structures actually becomes a viable strategy in 2v2. Sleeping Cloud posted an outstanding replay, him and Mantis against a couple of the MM players, where Cloud went just structures, and with some interesting results.
Alright, and you can just kind of see from both ends just their various openings. Seems pretty standard on both ends. Actually,
I've seen Funk do this before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yep.
To say the least. With you got on DaemonicSquirrel. Yeah, I don't think he's taking any chances. I think he's playing it safe and just doing what he knows best.
Yeah, I think one of the key things of this map is the nature of the games I've played on it is you get a little bit of space to start. For example, what differs is on Powderhorn, you have some space, and you can tend to keep the space in a 1v1 situation if you prefer. This map, for whatever reason, due to the nature it sets up, is basically what I call an escalating map, meaning that rarely are both sides in retreat or trying to keep space. Usually one side is going to push, and the other side is also going to be forced to push, and that area in the center is the showdown 70 to 80% of the time.
And Funkoff is proceeding along. Meanwhile, DaemonicSquirrel is continuing to build. And I think
it's interesting. It's interesting that you know, we don't see the traditional types of scouting that you would expect going on here.
Yeah, I do agree.
Or intel gathering.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was kind of surprised that Demonic did not build a single radar station, which I think allowed Funk to get that initial jump there and get that close. However, he's turning away with that point defense. I have to admit, I'm kind of curious what he has decided to research.
Or if he has researched anything. This could be the type of thing where you could just be racking up and saving the RP.
I think he is. If you look in his base and see what he has queued up
exactly.
to build.
Flexibility there.
I've actually I've been hammered by that strategy more than one time before. I was clearly expecting what the obvious person would expect with the ACU coming at, but I was very surprised when I got slammed
to the mid game.
Yeah, that was it was a good strategy. And I saw it once. It hasn't happened to me again. But there goes the research or the radar station for Demonic. So you should be able to see what's going on. And Funkoff is queuing up a factory. Econ-wise, I have to say, looks like they're pretty even, mass extractor-wise. What do you say, Vax? I think that point defense that Demonic was forced to put down when he saw the ACU coming and might come back to bite him in the butt later, just because it's now sitting in his main base and it's not doing anything.
Assume that fac's going up for the shield. That's probably the first thing that's going to go on that fac.
And Demonic is pushing with his...
I think Demonic should capture that fac.
Actually, he did not go for a shield. He was putting tanks down. I think Demonic might be able to get Funkoff for this one.
This is a GG. This is GG right here.
He's got him boxed in and everything. And there he goes.
Just after 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was a quick game. But yeah, I have to admit, I do think the idea with the fake ACU rush, what was going to follow was a huge storm of upgraded Voodoo bows, and I had actually fallen into a strategy pretty much exactly like that in a previous game a couple months ago, because I was fully expecting an ACU rush, and so I holed up where I was and waited for it. Never came, but the fighters came, and I was not prepared for it.
The problem there, and you're right, it can be a deadly strategy. The problem there, what worked against Funkoff, again, was the most important factor of Subcom, was time. Because he didn't have a massive econ, he was going to be waiting a little bit for the factories, but more importantly, air is not a good way to get a lot of DPS onto the board quickly, and it just wasn't going to work. I like the deception tactic, and in some games, deception, there is high value in it, but unfortunately, Subcom 2 pulling off a switcheroo is very challenging on a small map like this. That's kind of how I see it.
Hey, Vax, if you want to come in, DK has the next game up on Open Palms. So right now, as it stands, each player has one victory, so it comes down to this one on Open Palms, which I have to say is probably the most classic 1v1 map to play on. So it'll be...
And I think this is a good map to open a tournament with, and I think it's a great map to close it with. Nice bookend.
So we'll have the UEF as the DaemonicSquirrel, yellow, in the top right, versus Aeon as Funkoff as the Aeon, and he'll be blue in the bottom left. So it's kind of...
I think Demonic's got to give a little bit of thought to his faction choice.
And yeah, he is thinking. Yep, it's Aeon versus Aeon.
I think that's a wise choice.
Yeah, I do have to agree.
If nothing else, going faction versus the same faction, you can't argue that it was tech. Or you can't argue that you got MML'd when it cost you 9 RP to get out slip tax. But also, a second reason I like it is Demonic just won Aeon versus Aeon. So if nothing else, you know, repeat what works.
So I think it's fair to... I mean, it's a good guess that we can expect Demonic to do what we have seen him do in the last several games as the Aeon, which is make that hard push forward once he gets his base established.
I have a hunch we're just going to see awesome micro. I think it's going to be exciting and down to the wire. I think this is going to be sick, would be a good word.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, with both players playing as Aeon, neither have to worry about mobile artillery in the play, so it's not like you have to, one person has to micro in defense against that, and the other person's trying to get that strike in that will knock out half the tanks. Each tank their tanks just have no area of effect, so it will come down to yes, micro, but I think it's a different kind of micro than what we've seen before. And we can see what DaemonicSquirrel's opening is looking like. And yeah, it's just based on all the other games he's played. He seems to go with what he knows best and what he's sure of.
The opening we're seeing, the queues, build queues and everything, looks, relatively standard for knowledgeable players on palms. Nothing crazy. What Funk's doing there reminds me a little bit of back in the day when I would play Iron or Word. They do that fairly early. It all comes down to doing everything you can to give yourself the ability to make the right decisions.
And we're starting to see a couple tanks start to trickle out of the factories. So neither player is being overly aggressive at the moment. It's fair to say I think both are playing a more cautious game. After all, with it being the final round in a best of 3, a lot is yes, it's a free tournament, but there still is a fair amount at stake on this game.
Absolutely. This is not a round where I think either of these players is going to gamble. I don't think Funk from the get-go, I don't think Funk was going to try any strat that had a moderate chance of backfiring. I think this is going to be straightforward skill versus skill.
Funk's comment there seems to indicate that something went wrong.
I'm not certain, and I'll ask him after the tournament. I think Funk is perhaps frustrated that he feels he's got to play defensive from the get-go. I do know that Funk hates spending mass on AA towers and probably point defense as well.
Well, he was able to get that point defense up first, so DaemonicSquirrel is not going to be able to keep that other one up, and with the long-range point defense there under the factory shield, he is actually repairing it. Very good choice. Now, network interruption detected. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So, there it goes again.
Oh, Demonic can't push. He's going to go under the shield. You can't. Oh, there. Okay, the fact shield is out. Wow, that's crazy.
This might be a very quick game. Both players are dancing their ASUs around and trying to get that final hit in. I think we're going to end up with a draw here as both ASUs literally simultaneously explode. Yep. I couldn't call that a more instant explosion than that.
Yeah, so, that's going to be a draw.
All right, so I believe we're going to contact Burke and see what map we play on next. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a break on this chat, and we'll be back in a minute or two. See you then.